Welcome to the Vanilla to Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way. Sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 86 of Vanilla to Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N, also known as...
The Naughty Couple.
Hello, Mrs. N.
Hello, Mr. N.
So, this show, we've got a big announcement to make. We can announce the next Vanilla to Vixen party at Liberty Elite is on Saturday, the 13th of April.
It is.
And for us here in the UK, that's Grand National Day.
It is Grand National Day. Shall I get me coconuts out?
Why coconuts?
You know, how I can do clip-cloppy like a horse.
Oh, no. Now, actually, I've got a bit of an admission to make talking about horses.
Right.
I've blown our savings on a horse.
Okay.
All £3.50.
I was going to say.
It's got 3 legs and everything. And I've called it My Face.
Right.
So all the sexy ladies at Aintree,
yeah,
they'll all be shouting, "Come on, my face! Come on, my face!"
How did I know where that was heading?
Oh, well. I'm very excited, though.
Please don't write in to complain.
I'm very excited.
But talking of Vanilla to Vixen,
yes,
on the 13th of April, we are doing a bit of a themed game, aren't we, to do with Grand National? Yep.
We're doing what's it called? Save a Horse, Ride a Jockey. I just made that up. I
think I'd prefer to watch that, to be honest.
We are doing like match the horse and jockey up. So everybody gets a little card, and you'll get a jockey or a horse, and you've got to kind of match the colours up. Yeah, that's the idea of it. Anyway,
it's just a good way to get people talking to people they probably wouldn't normally talk to, or they're a bit shy and don't know how to approach people. We'll give you the perfect excuse,
exactly,
to go up and say, "What jockey have you got?" or "What horse have you got?"
And of course, Vanilla to Vixen is a hosted party.
It is.
But this weekend at Liberty Elite is a completely unhosted weekend.
Okay, so what's the difference, Mr. N, between a hosted and an unhosted party?
And why do clubs have hosts?
Yes.
It's a good question.
Good question.
There's a lot of people that... We've actually had somebody write in and say, what is the point of a host?
Yeah, I often ask myself the same question.
So here goes. So it's a little bit different. You can understand it's not like a normal nightclub, a private members club that happens to be full of swingers. They're not swingers clubs, they're private members club that just happen to be full of swingers.
Yes.
And of course, normal nightclubs, you just go in there, you drink, you dance, and that's it. But when you go to a private members club that happens to be full of swingers, you will go in, you'll get greeted. It's far more civilised. It may look like a nightclub, but it's far more civilised. And so you'll be greeted. The host's job is often to collate a guest list.
That's right, yes.
So when we're looking at that guest list, we're trying to fill up sort of certain demographics and make sure. So, for instance, if we get a lovely couple write to us and say that, they're in their 50s, 60s, we will then try and get a few couples to match up.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to this hosting than meets the eye.
If anybody thinks it's easy, it's not.
It's not, exactly. And then, of course, if you host Saturday parties, so Saturdays at Liberty Elite are just for couples and single ladies. But then if you collate guest lists on a Friday, that's a whole new ball game.
It is.
Because then you've got single guys, single ladies, and couples.
Yeah.
And so then, such as on our Vegas Vixens night, you have to match up sort of ages and sort of how many single guys. Because a club full of single guys, straight single guys, that's not going to be much fun, is it?
No, exactly. So, especially with our Vegas Vixens, we like to limit the amount of single guys depending on how many couples or single ladies we've got.
Yeah.
That way, hopefully, you avoid the wanking dead, as we like to call them.
That's not all single guys,
It's
by
not
the
all
way.
single guys, but obviously if you've got too many single guys and, there's not enough couples or single ladies for them to be able to...
It's no fun.
No, exactly. So that's where you tend to get the ones that just sort of stand around and...
And bear in mind, single guys pay, to get in.
Exactly.
And so they want a good night.
Yeah, so we always try and make sure that there's a good ratio. So hopefully everybody has a good evening and there's somebody for everybody out there.
So that's collating the guest list, which is the first part.
Yeah.
Then on the actual night itself, what does the host do?
Panic.
Apart from panic and steal the buffet, that's your job.
Yeah, no, I need to have words about this. I thought I got my watchers to tell me when the buffet was out. And you're slacking, guys. I'm sorry. There's been a couple of times where it's literally, I've got to the buffet and it's half gone.
So other than eat the buffet, what does a host do?
So a host greets everybody.
Yeah.
Introduces them to obviously their, who we are as hosts.
Organises a tour.
Organises a tour of the club. We, especially at our events as well, because a lot of people that come to our events are new, haven't been to a club before, or have only just started out in the naughty hobby.
Yeah, I mean, again, a nightclub. Perhaps you go into most nightclubs. It's pretty self-explanatory. You've got a dance floor and a bar.
Yeah.
There's not a lot else to do, which is why they're very boring. I never used to find nightclubs really boring until I went to a private members club full of swingers.
It's funny, because when I was younger, way before we met Mr. N, when I would go to a nightclub, I always found them a bit like meat markets. So as a lady or girl, you'd walk in and all of a sudden all the guys would turn around and they'd be staring at you and thinking, oh, I fancy her, or no, she's not for me. And you just felt like you were, I don't know, on show a little bit, which is going to sound a bit weird.
No.
Because
I
when you are
that.
at a private members club, even though you are kind of there as being on show, I suppose, but it's different. I don't know, it's just different.
Why is it different?
That's a good question.
Why is it different?
Maybe because you know what you're looking for.
What, a shag?
No, not necessarily, because like we always say, that doesn't always happen.
No, but it is predominantly a naughty hobbyists club.
It is, and I think when you go to a private members club, obviously you're going to be there with like-minded people, so you've already got something in common with those people before you walk through the door.
Yeah.
Whereas a nightclub, for me, when I was younger, all I wanted to do was go and dance. I didn't really want to be bothered.
But we have been to parties, even at Liberty Elite, where a lot of people have just gone to dance.
That's true. That is true.
And here's where it's interesting, because I think swinging as a whole is hitting the mainstream more.
I think it is.
It's becoming slightly less something of a joke, something of ridicule amongst the Muggle world.
Yeah.
It's taken 86 episodes. I'm going to take full responsibility for all of it.
Absolutely.
But I do.
Yeah, but I think it's because, we're not the only podcast that talks about the naughty hobby.
No, not at all.
And I think there is more and more being created nowadays.
Absolutely.
And, I'm incredibly proud to know that we do get, vanilla people that do listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
And that was what I wanted more than anything. I'm not trying to recruit everybody into the hobby, but what I'm trying to do is just educate people.
She's trying to recruit everybody. She's trying to groom everybody into the... It is a cult.
I'm going for world domination here.
It is a cult. We've lied to you for 86 weeks. And Mrs. N is the one that we all stand there in these little hoods and bow down to. Even John said that back in episode 8 at Liberty Elite, the former owner of Liberty Elite.
But I do think it is becoming less of a joke, really.
It is.
Because people do laugh and giggle about it and think it's all very seedy and it's...
It is, I think. And, yeah, I mean, definitely, I think we're finding now that people are actually becoming brave and actually deciding, you know what, fuck it, we don't care, we're actually coming out.
Yeah, we're hearing more and more, aren't we? And the funny thing is not only are they sort of brave enough to come out and say, look, this is what I do, the people that they're telling are also then opening up. And they're telling of things that they've either done in their past or, currently doing or stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is as well, if you decide to come out, so to speak, it's not a situation where you have to come out and go, God, blimey, we went to the club last night and I fucked 3 people, whatever.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that in your private bedroom.
No.
You wouldn't come out and say, I had amazing sex with the wife last night. We did it doggy style twice. And you wouldn't know, would you? Well, perhaps some people would.
I was going to say, I think I may have had a conversation or two about you and me in my past.
Yeah, but that's you. It's all out with you. But, again, if people come out, perhaps they can say, you know what, we enjoy going to this club. Yeah. It's really good. It's amazing to people watch.
Yeah.
That's all you need to say. Yes, we enjoy going to a swingers club.
Yeah.
You're bound to then get the next question, are you swingers? But what you decide to do with that then information or how much information you release is up to you. It's in your hands. Yeah. Because that's the wonderful thing about this lifestyle is that what happens in the club stays in the club. So the only other person that knows about it are other naughty hobbyists.
It's funny, actually. I think we were at Dangerous Curves. And I was having a conversation with a lovely couple.
Was that this week?
That was this week.
So this week, we'll come on to talk about this week. We attended 2 events. We did the fabulous Litchfield social.
Yes, we did.
That was on last Friday night.
No, it wasn't. It was on Saturday.
It was on Saturday. It was. It was such a good weekend. I don't know what day it is. We attended the fabulous Lich Vegas on Saturday night. But on the Friday night, we went to Dangerous Curve's 5th birthday bash.
I know, we did.
Can't believe it. 5 years of Dangerous Curves.
It was amazing. But we will talk about that a little bit more. But I did meet this couple at Dangerous Curves.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where, bless them, they were like, oh my God, it's Mr. and Mrs. N, I'm starstruck, which always makes me giggle a little bit because it just seems, I just find it, I still find it odd, even after all this time that people actually take time to listen to our drivel. So I had a fabulous conversation with this couple.
Okay.
And one of the things we talked about was actually just going to the club because they felt safe. Wasn't anything to do with, having sex with anybody or anything else. It was literally, they just preferred it because they felt safe. It
reminds me of an interview that Daniel Craig did.
Yeah.
Talking of which, there's a brand new James Bond. This is very on topic.
It's a bit controversial, I think. There's been people that are saying, not sure.
He's a young chap, about 5.
Yeah. He's making you feel old, isn't he, babe?
I've reached that point now where James Bond could be younger than me. So I'm feeling very old, listeners, this week.
Oh, you poor thing.
Never mind. But yeah, I mean, Daniel Craig, I think he not long been James Bond.
Yeah.
And so he kind of like suddenly boosted into this huge spotlight. And he announced in one of his interviews that one of the favourite places he liked to go out at night was to gay clubs. And he wasn't gay, but he just enjoyed the vibe, and the words he used were he felt safer at a gay nightclub than at a straight nightclub. And I think that sort of similar approach is the same as a private members club full of swingers. I
totally agree. And I think there's more and more people that are getting to know what atmospheres are like there, and that there's no judgment, and you can basically be yourself. And
they're often far more plusher. There's places to sit, to chat.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas at a nightclub, sometimes they're like warehouses.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I do think it is changing, isn't it?
And the other thing with a nightclub as well is that nightclubs predominantly, once you've hit like 30 years old, you ain't going there anymore.
I'm sure there's still some old clubbers out there.
Whereas at a swingers club, you've got a far broader range of ages. And at the majority of them, the well-run ones, they all suggest you leave your judgment at the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can wear what you like as long as it's within the club's guidelines. Obviously, some clubs, such as CAMS, are dressed down. So that's slightly different because you're in towels. But with a lot of clubs, you know, as long as you're adhering to their dress code, you're dressing up, you're feeling sort of great about yourself because you're sort of taking the effort to dress up.
Also, it's like it's kind of expected that you're going to talk to people. So you haven't got the worry that if you look at somebody or you look at somebody's partner, you're not going to get punched in the face.
Yeah, exactly.
Because somebody thinks you're trying to...
And I think the other amazing thing is as well that I guarantee if you go to most swingers clubs, at the end of the night, and here's the really weird thing for British culture, most people are... 99% of people are sober.
It's true.
You know, people don't predominantly go there to drink.
No, not at all.
So everybody stays sober. That causes less violence, physical violence, and it just makes a merrier night.
I know, it does. I was just Googling earlier, listeners, because as everybody knows, I hate the word swinger.
Okay.
And we have been looking to see if we can find an alternative.
What have you come up with? This is going to be nonsense.
No, it's not so much what I've come up with.
This is going to be...
It's just the fact that... So I've read in the Collins Dictionary...
Oh, God.
...what the definition of swinger is.
Oh, okay.
And it says, swingers are people who are married or in a long-term relationship and who like to have sex with other people's partners. Now, that is incredibly outdated.
Yeah, that goes back to the old sort of wife swapping.
Yeah.
So originally, before, I remember talking again to the previous owner of Libs, John, and him sort of saying that originally it was sort of termed as wife swapping because that's what it was. He believed that swinging had came in from America, so that doesn't really fit. That only fits for couples, doesn't it?
It does, which it's not. It isn't.
There's so many singles now on the scene.
Absolutely.
So what are these suggestions then for changing the word swinger?
Well, first of all, Collins, if you're listening, you need to update your... You need to update your definition of swingers.
No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. So come on then, what are these suggestions?
Okay, so...
This is going to be rubbish.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, my hopes aren't high on this, I'm going to be honest.
Some of them I think are very old-fashioned and a little bit outdated. Some of them I don't even know what the word means, but we'll go with that. So, some of them are a coquette.
A coquette?
Yes.
I've met a few coquettes.
But it's spelled, I've probably pronounced it wrong, it's spelled Coquettete.
Coquette.
Okay, yeah. There's cruiser. Yeah.
No, cruiser means something else.
Exactly.
We won't go there.
Heartbreaker, no, because, that's just wrong.
No, that just doesn't fit at all.
Operator.
No, that's too medical.
Is it? You've got philanderer, which again I don't agree with. Player, I don't agree with. Seducer, I don't agree with.
These are all rubbish. These don't term swinger at all.
No, there is something called a trifler. I do like trifle, if I'm honest.
This is going nowhere.
No.
I think I've got a much better one.
I did find one, didn't I, that you kind of turned your nose up at. I'll see if I can find it while you're reading out yours. You know libertine is in there.
Really? What was that? What's
Libertine.
that classed as?
Another word for swinger.
I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either, so there you go.
So there is a party at Liberty Elite called Libertines. So now we know what it is.
A dahlia.
I quite like that.
I quite dally. I quite like dahlia.
Yeah, I dilly-dally about quite a bit. I still think mine's better.
No, well, let me tell you mine first.
Okay.
So the one I found that I actually quite liked was called a makeout artist.
That's quite good.
I like that.
A makeout artist.
I'm not a swinger, I'm a makeout artist.
Okay.
Could be possible.
Yeah.
What did you get?
Okay, I came up with some different ones. Right, this is the male's perspective of it.
Right.
Rake hell.
That sounds awful.
I'm a rake hell.
No, I don't like that.
It means deprived or perverted or extremely wrong.
Oh, well, there may be some of them out there, but...
How about good old-fashioned hedonist?
No.
A hedonist is a pleasure seeker.
I know, but it just...
What's wrong with hedonist?
I don't know. I don't like it. It sounds old-fashioned.
Well, I'm going to be honest. We're on the last review here. How about a sensualist?
Ooh.
A person who believes in enjoying sensuality and the experience of pleasant sensations.
Oh, no, I like that.
A sensualist.
A sensualist.
Yeah, you see, it's kind of open, or a good old-fashioned debauchee.
Yeah, I saw that one on my list.
A person who is self-indulgent in their fondness of sensuous luxury. That's definitely me, that is.
Oh, well, listen, guys, if you can come up with something better than myself and Mr. N, please get in touch.
It's not going to be difficult.
No, it won't be difficult.
I still think hedonist.
I'm still going with that, with the makeout artist.
I'm not so sure. So this weekend, Liberty Elite, to go back to our original before we went off on this terrible tangent, is an unhosted night. So an unhosted night is kind of like a standard club night.
Yes.
Sometimes if a club has a DJ, sometimes they sort of perhaps don't have a DJ. It's generally quieter, isn't it, on unhosted nights?
It can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. It doesn't always necessarily be the case.
No.
But on the whole, an unhosted night, I mean, some party nights are like, whoa.
Yeah.
It is full-on party. I think our very first night we attended the club, it was an unhosted night.
It was. Which, in fairness, I think it was probably a good choice.
I would have preferred a hosted night. 100%.
Really?
100%.
Actually, no, I see your point, because I think if we'd have had a night like the nights that we do for new people, where, we always say, look, we are going to hold your hand throughout the night. We'll keep an eye on you. We'll make sure that you're okay. You're not left on your own.
But even if you go to another night, like, for instance, just picking one at random, like Dark Desires.
Yeah.
You're still greeted.
You are.
And you're greeted at Liberty Elite. We just used the Liberty Elite because it was our first club we went to. But, I mean, you're greeted by somebody all the time.
Well, you're greeted from the moment you walk in the door.
Yeah. But I feel with a party host, there's someone there checking in on you, and it's their party, and the other great thing is as well that you see a guest list sometimes.
Yes.
Guest lists are printed on Fab Swingers, or other sites such as Spicy Match, and you can see who else is going, so you might have a chance to talk to someone before the event.
Yeah, I mean, we do sort of harper on, don't we, about Discord, because we know for a lot of people that come to our events, especially if they're brand new, we'll say, look, get on our Discord room, get chatting, because the people that are on there, a lot of them come to our events and it'll be a familiar face.
Exactly.
For when you arrive, so you don't feel so alone.
So, I mean, for our first ever trip to a club, we went to we hadn't got a fucking clue what...
No, because we turned up an hour early, didn't we, Mr. N?
We didn't bang on about that. But we hadn't got a clue what we were doing. We just literally just turned up.
Yes.
We just literally just turned up, and we hadn't got a clue what the difference was between a hosted night or an unhosted night.
No, never even heard of it, had we?
There was no podcasts. There was no nothing.
See how lucky you people are.
Exactly. We literally just took a leap into the unknown.
Yeah, we did.
We phoned the club. They sounded all right. Yeah, we'll give it a go. And we really, our chief concern was that we considered our kink to be a hot wife couple. That's what we considered ourselves as.
Yeah.
And I think my main worry was that we would just sit there with a load of couples that would, you know, it would turn sort of 9:30 or whatever and go, right, everybody swap.
Do you remember me standing at the bar looking at my watch and you were like, are you all right? And I'm like, just wondering when everything starts. Just waiting for the itinerary to come out.
Just lean across, ask the bar staff, excuse me, what time's kick-off? It's not like that at all. And that's what we're saying. You know, we had absolutely no idea what to expect. And I still think when people come into a club for the first time, they still expect that itinerary.
Yeah.
That thing of, right, you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And at 10:30, we all go bollock naked. Come on, ladies, get the puppies out. It's 15 minutes late. It's not like that at all. And I still think that the reason a lot of people have such a good time is because there's such a build-up of nerves and nervous energy, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then they actually sit there and go, oh, yeah, this is not what I expected at all. This is incredibly civilised.
Everybody's still got their clothes on.
Exactly. I've been here 3 hours. All I've had is a melon. I do think that. I do think it's just so wonderfully relaxed, more than people think it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are nights where people have come out and gone, well, I wasn't expecting that. But, the night is yours to do as you wish.
There is a difference between a hosted night and an unhosted night. However, they both have their own
advantages and disadvantages.
That's the word I was looking for. Yes, thank you for that, because my brain had just gone to sleep on me then and I can't remember what to say. Because even though the unhosted nights, okay, you don't have a host, but it doesn't mean to say they don't have a theme. And it's like there's something for everybody.
Yeah. And I also think as well, a hosted night tends to have regulars.
Yes.
Whereas an unhosted night is a random ensemble.
Oh, you.
A random ensemble of hedonists or revelers or debauchees, whatever we're going to call them. So I think you can sometimes get a more party atmosphere quicker on a hosted night.
Yes.
If you've got a room full of people that don't know each other so well.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, for the newcomer, there's the fear of clickiness, that everybody knows everybody else.
Yeah.
But I think, as we've found, if you go to many different parties, and we've been to many different parties at many different venues, usually if you introduce yourself, and one of the best things to say is, hi, I'm brand new here.
Yeah.
And usually, if it's a friendly bunch, then it's not going to be like the League of Gentlemen where they go, are you local? for anyone of a certain age that remembers League of Gentlemen. It's a friendly community, and so the more open and honest you are, I'll be honest, I'm absolutely shitting myself. It's my first time here, first time to any club. People will embrace you. They will embrace the fact that you're new, and they'll often be quite proud to show you around their club.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true.
And so I always say to people, just literally just be yourself.
Yeah.
Just enjoy yourself, be yourself. Tell everybody that you're brand new, and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
An unhosted night, I suppose, is a quieter night that you might be able to enjoy the facilities of the venue more.
Yeah.
Because, again, party nights, hosted party nights, they're often quite busy.
That's true.
So perhaps, if you're looking to get in the hot tub might be a bit fuller on a party night. Mix it up. I mean, like you said, there's advantages and disadvantages to all of them. It's definitely worth checking out hosted nights and
it is
club night, just standard unhosted club nights.
I totally agree, my lovely. Totally agree with that.
Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
We're just putting it out there.
Well, it's a valid question that we've had from somebody, and it is a strange concept, I think, to get your head round. Why do clubs have hosts? What do they do?
Yeah.
And it's only been 86 episodes before we answered.
Might have left that one a little bit late.
But hopefully,
the thing is, though, because, if you can't get to a hosted event... and you really want to have a night out and you want to relax and enjoy yourself and everything, then that's where the unhosted ones come in really handy.
And of course, the other thing is as well that a hosted night might not suit your kink.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Dark Desires is predominantly a night that has Caribbean music. There's a lot of Afro-Caribbean guys there. If you're not sexually attracted to that demographic, no matter what it is... Yeah. Then that's not going to be the best night for you. Dangerous Curves is going to be, a night for curvy ladies and ladies that are not curvy but body conscious people.
Yeah.
That might not appeal to you. Everybody's different.
That's right.
And in this community, we celebrate everybody being different and, just be who you want to be. But again, that particular party might not suit your kink or just might not suit you in general.
Yeah.
So, again, unhosted night, it's more generalised, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, that's where you get the difference and what it offers compared to a hosted night.
Exactly.
So...
Good, I'm glad we got that sorted out again.
Again. So going back to the fact, we went to Dangerous Curves on Friday, didn't we?
Yes, Dangerous Curves' 5th birthday party.
Yeah.
It was a riot.
It was, and I'm just going to give a massive shout out to our Roxy because she looked phenomenal.
Absolutely brilliant. She
was in this stunning sheer black netted dress, very fitted.
Yeah.
Oh my word, she looked phenomenal. But not only that, a shout out to Zeb.
Oh,
those shoes, I had envy.
It was like staring at the sun.
I'm
only just, my eyes are just recovering.
They were the sparkliest pair of shoes I think I've ever seen in my life.
I had got shoe envy. For a man, that's quite a rare thing.
He always pulls it out the bag, doesn't he?
I don't know where he gets his outfits.
I don't know either, but the pair of you looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was such a lovely evening.
Huge shout out as well to Delicious Debs, who couldn't make it, bless her.
Yeah, bless her.
Because of a family crisis, bless her. Somebody took poorly in her family, so she couldn't make it. But she delivered to us, to deliver to the party, the most amazing cake, which she'd actually printed all the actual characters.
Yes.
Sort of caricatures of Dangerous Curves.
Yes.
It was amazing. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It was. I mean, and it's a shame because I know Mr. and Mrs. Horney couldn't make it that night. They very rarely miss a Dangerous Curves, and Mr. Horney was on the cake.
Yeah, Mr. Horney, you're on the side of a cake. You don't get more famous than that.
You don't, do you?
It was amazing.
You don't.
Even his little tattoos, every little detail. It was amazing.
It was, but it was such a relaxed atmosphere that night. And, you know, as always, we were always so lucky to meet so many different people, but there was a lot of newbies, which is so lovely to see.
Yes, there was a lot of people there, including the couple of couples that we chatted to that listened to the podcast.
Yes, that we have managed to groom and say they are going to come on the podcast, because they have quite a fascinating story.
Yeah.
So listen out, guys. They should be out in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, more people to groom onto the podcast.
I love it. I always love it, because somebody said to us not that long ago, you know, oh, how long has your podcast been going? And we said, oh, about a year and a half. And, you know, oh, how often do you do it? Yeah, we do it every week. He said, well, what do you think to talk about every week? But I said, but the thing is, we meet so many different people, and everybody's got their own story.
Absolutely.
And I love listening to people's stories.
I think and again, here's where we go back to the whole hobby has become more mainstream. That kinks have become a wider spectrum of kinks.
Yeah.
People go there who might have just a general interest in fetish, but might not want to go to a more hardened fetish event.
Yeah.
So they might just want to, you know, just do slight play, sensation play with floggers, and incorporate that into more a sexual bit of fun.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to a fetish event, as we've explained on previous programmes, fetish events are very quiet, it's very controlled, it's a scene. Yeah,
and I think we found out not that long ago, we were talking to somebody a bit more about the scenes, and I think it was actually when we were talking to Kitten and Wolf.
Yeah.
And we were saying it's like, you know, it's kind of scripted.
Yes, definitely.
So whereas obviously the Naughty Hobby,
it's more party based, it's more spontaneous.
Yes.
And so, you might want to mix that up and just incorporate a little bit of fet play into the sexual play.
Yeah.
So you might get people that want to go along and find that. It just seems to be, this last few weeks seems to be such a burst into mainstream. I don't know if it's just the people we've spoken to that have decided that they're coming out. It's like Diana Ross all over the place.
Bless her.
It is. It's amazing. It's amazing. The only trouble is it's going to leave us jobless.
It will do, won't it?
Once it's mainstream, what do we do?
I just love the fact that people are feeling confident in themselves and not embarrassed or made to feel uncomfortable because of a kink that they enjoy.
And of course that leads on to what happened to me last week.
Remind me.
So I had one sort of best friend left.
Oh. Oh, yes.
The hysterics have begun.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I had one, what I call best friend left, who I was hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, haven't we? Saying that, you know, we used to say things to him which were true, and he'd be like, yeah, right, and all that.
Let's call him Mr. G.
Yeah.
Let's call him Mr. G.
Yeah. Mr. N got a little bit cocky, shall we say.
Mr. G, this last few weeks, we've been incredibly busy.
Yeah.
This last few months. And of course it gets harder to hide.
Yes.
Around friends and things. And we've got bloody great big play your card right boards in our house. We've got this big play your card right board where we put all these oversized playing cards on for Vegas Vixens. And our house is slowly turning into a swinging club away from a swinging club, isn't it? And of course it's getting more difficult, and I'm more or less full-time now involved in the Naughty Hobby.
You are.
For a profession. And so it's like when people ask you what to do, I feel like a spy. I'm a baker, no, I'm a tinker, a tailor, and tinker, tailor, twat, I don't know. You don't know what to say. And so he kind of, you know, it was talking, we were chatting on the phone. And dear listener, this is how that phone call went. So I felt sort of quite confident, and he even bought us a Swingers book.
It was a colouring book.
Swingers colouring book, because he jokes that we go to a swingers club. It's called Hiding in Plain Sight, and it worked fucking brilliantly for about 2 years, right up until the point that I was an idiot. And my brain decided to flip out of my head and go, I'm fucking out of here. I'm off on a stroll. You're on your own.
Yeah, he packed his bags and left you, didn't he?
And what happened was, we were on the phone, and he's kind of like joked and thing. And honestly, he had no idea.
Well, we've spent ages trying to decide whether he actually knew or whether he honestly didn't believe us. We weren't sure, were we?
I think the response that I'm about to share with you pretty much tells you he had no idea.
Yeah.
So we're on the phone, and as I say, he's been joking about, growing pampas grass in your front garden and all this, that and the other. And then we're talking about clubs and just clubs in general, nightclubs and things like that. And he said, I suppose you're off to your club, with the black plastic sheets and all this, that and the other. And I went, excuse me. I said, there's no black plastic sheets at Liberty Elite.
I can't believe you came out with it.
And I went, oh, shit. And it was like that internet meme. That internet meme where it goes, it was at this moment he knew he'd fucked up.
And then there was like a bit of an awkward silent pause, wasn't there?
There was a silent pause. He went, what did you just say? And I went, I meant there's no black sheets with us elite people. And he went, no, you didn't say that. And then I could hear, that tapping of Google on while he was talking to me on loudspeaker. I'm like, oh, shit. And he went, all I heard then was like this silence. And he went, fucking hell. And then an interesting conversation ensued. Because I knew that particular month, we were actually advertised with your face on Vegas Vixen's poster.
We were.
So there was no getting out of it.
Not really.
I couldn't say, I made it up.
No.
And his first thing was, I'm coming along to try this out.
Yeah, he did.
He couldn't make that particular party, but we'll see how it goes.
Exactly. And bless, I mean, you ring each other every day. You always have rang each other every day. But now you kind of just take the piss out of each other even more.
Yeah.
About the activities that we get up to. But the funny thing is, he makes me really giggle because he always says to Mr. N, I can well believe it with you. I can't believe it of Mrs. N though. And he keeps saying that you've groomed me and everything.
I don't know why I've got the blame for all of this.
Because I'm innocent.
No,
that's
you just got an innocent looking face. That's right. If you were on the on one of the suspect lineups,
oh yeah,
you'd be the one that'd be giggling at the end that just get away with it. Absolute disgraceful.
So yeah, we'll keep you posted on how this goes. But yeah, he wants to come along to one of our events. So
if you want to meet the famous Mr. G,
yes.
When you see him on the guest list, you'll be able to go. You rumbled him then.
So then the other thing that happened then this week was we went to the fabulous Litch Vegas. Didn't we? So this is our second, isn't it? This is the second Litch Vegas we've been to.
Two things I have learnt about Litchfield.
Yeah.
One, it holds Litch Vegas.
It does.
Two, it has the smallest Chinatown in the whole of the UK. The smallest Chinatown is this restaurant.
Just the one.
And at 10 o'clock, there's fuck all place to eat other than McDonald's or the tiniest part of Chinatown, which is this one single Chinese restaurant. And it costs more than fucking Dubai to eat there. I don't know. We got the bill and I was like, fuck me.
I think we need to go more into detail about our evening meal, but we'd gone to Litch Vegas with the wonderful Sir John and Lady La.
Yes.
As guests.
And they bless them, they stepped in. They were amazing. A huge thank you to them.
Yeah.
Because we were originally going with Delicious Debs and Hooky.
Yes.
But poor Delicious Debs, bless her, had a family crisis. She had a family member who was really poorly, couldn't leave them.
No.
So,
and the Hooky monster is still recovering, bless him.
Yes, so Hooky couldn't go. So we were literally on our Todd.
Yeah.
And we didn't mind that because Fred and Wilma are amazing hosts. We knew we'd be looked after and they'd introduce us to other people. We knew it'd be amazing. But we still were like, we're on our own, you know. And then we got to go with the fabulous Lady Lara and Sir John because they phoned up and went, are you doing anything? Sat there.
Well, a matter of fact, do you fancy?
And we groomed them.
We did.
It's back to this cult thing again.
We did. And they were brilliant, weren't they? They stepped in. We kind of...
and they had never, ever been to a social.
No, and it's amazing how many people are in the hobby but have never done a social.
Exactly. So they were then quite eager to sort of see what a social was all about. They kind of did it backwards because they'd done all the club nights and then did a social. So it was brilliant.
What I found really interesting about the social that night is I think most people would think you go to a social to make acquaintances and maybe, hook up sometimes or whatever.
And for our listeners that don't know, often socials are just held in sort of a room in a club or a pub, not a swingers club, but a normal sort of social club or pub, sometimes restaurants, not Little Chinatown, that's too fucking expensive. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, it's often or sometimes in a pub itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
A quiet corner of a pub.
It is quite you could almost say it's like a vanilla.
Yeah, a vanilla setting. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But it was interesting because we spoke to some people at the social that have never actually been to a club or actually played.
And this leads us on to an interesting topic. And it's going to be quite a hot topic, this one.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned to me the word superficial swinger.
Oh.
And this was a gentleman who said he'd spoken to people who had never been to a club.
Yeah.
They'd never had a meet. All they do is go to socials.
Okay.
But they class themselves as swingers.
Yeah.
And they've been going for like years and years. And he's like, superficial swingers. I'm like, well, I think that's a bit harsh.
I think that's incredibly harsh. As we've just said before, we know people that go to the club that all they do is dance. And the other people just go to socialise.
I think his idea of it was that there's several celebrities that have now come out and said that they're non-monogamous and quite into it's becoming quite fashionable.
Yes.
To be a swinger all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And with that said, he felt that perhaps there was a fashion element to it where people were now going along, not to Litch Vegas, this was to other socials.
Yeah.
And they kind of like called themselves swingers, but weren't really actually into swinging.
Oh, okay.
Which was quite interesting. I had a good chat with him.
I do wonder if this is how it's going to evolve. Because of the fact that, like we were talking earlier about sometimes it can be a bit dodgy going to nightclubs or going into town because there's always so much trouble. And like the couple I spoke to who said they prefer to come to the private members club because they feel safe.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if that is how it's going to progress.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does make you wonder.
Yeah.
But and especially as well where nightclubs and pubs seem to be closing at the rate of knots, really, especially nightclubs.
Yeah.
Whereas swingers clubs seem to be popping up more and more of them.
Yeah.
So it certainly seems to be a growing community, a thriving community.
I know. I mean, that is fantastic. That makes me very happy.
It's taken 86 episodes.
Hasn't it? But woohoo! That's all I can say. But going back to Litch Vegas, so there was actually a theme.
Right.
Which was, I think it was theatre.
Okay.
And when we walked in, Wilma, oh my God.
She looks sensational.
She was wearing the most beautiful floor-length red sparkly dress.
She looks stunning.
Low back. Oh, honestly, she looked like a goddess.
Yeah.
Didn't she? Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Fred was in his beautiful velvet jacket.
I've said before, jackets give a gentleman shape.
They do. I did tell him I would have to stroke him, and I did stroke him.
Guys, they square your shoulders off.
Yeah.
You look dapper in a jacket. It will give you shape. You will look hot in a jacket.
So, but some people had really gone to town with their outfits, hadn't they? So
Yeah.
we had a gentleman, which myself and Mr. N, in fairness, if I'm totally honest, he scared me a little bit because he looked just like the guy out of
Live and Let Die.
Live and Let Die. So you know the...
It was the James Bond crook character. I
Yes.
think he had something to do with like the tarot cards, and he was a bit scary. He got a big top hat on.
Yeah, all suited and booted, but he got that kind of like intense look on his face.
He did look like but he was dressed to impress.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All he had to do was, you said, didn't it? All he had to say was...
I'm expecting you, Mr. Bond.
and then laughed in a really kind of, And then we had a couple that dressed up as Dalmatians.
Pongo
and Purdy.
Perhaps it was Lucky. I don't know. They're the only two names I know.
Yeah, we had some can girls there. There was a couple of ladies dressed up in like can outfits and stuff. It was just brilliant how much effort people put in.
Again, huge shout out to Fred and Wilma, who always put on entertainment at their events.
Yes.
And they got a caricature artist.
They had. I'm gutted that we didn't get chat. He was so busy.
I'm not surprised. He was really, really good.
He
really
was phenomenal. I
talented.
mean, literally just stood there holding, it looked like a clipboard.
Yeah.
And he was literally just having conversation with somebody. And as he was talking, he was doing their drawing.
Yeah.
And it literally took minutes.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
So good.
They had speed dating.
Yes. Now, the first time we went to Litch Vegas, we didn't go to the speed dating. We were voyeurs, weren't we? That night?
Again, we didn't know what it was.
No.
We weren't sure if we had to do it separately, and we weren't sure if we'd like that idea, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. What we perceived it to be, it was nothing like that.
No.
You just sit there as a couple and you just get a chance to mix with other people and chat and just sort of say...
So they give you a little itinerary, don't they?
Yeah.
So you have about, is it four? Six dates, is it? It goes against the table numbers. So you get 3 minutes per date.
Yeah.
And at the end of that date, the bell rings and then you move to the next table that's on your list.
I've started giggling.
Why?
Because I do have to apologise to our first speed dater.
Bless.
Because obviously we had groomed Lady Lara and Sir John along. And because they come along last minute, that the speed dating is so popular.
It was fully booked.
It was fully booked, but they'd had a couple that couldn't come. So all of a sudden there was a space and we were like, oh, could we get Lady Lara and Sir John in? So I rushed off to the bar to go and find them and go, I've got your space on speed dating. Managed to grab them, bring them back, sat them down, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So he sat right at one corner with this gentleman who was our first date.
Yeah.
They sat on the far corner of the other room, so I could see right across on all these like separate tables. And there we were sitting. I sat there like a naughty schoolboy, or a schoolboy with the attention of a gnat.
Yeah.
I was full ADHD.
You were full ADHD.
Because I was looking across at Lady Lawrence and John and just tittering to myself because their first date hadn't turned.
They just had to sit there for 3 minutes on their own, didn't they? Bless them.
I saw them crossing their arms, glaring at me.
What the hell have you brought us to?
He's fucking loaded us up.
So there's me chatting away to our first date.
Yeah.
And you were literally away with the fairies, weren't you?
I apologise so much. I'm so sorry.
Honestly. But it progressed, didn't it? And they met some really good people. We met some amazing people.
Amazing. All of them. And including, I jest, but the first gentleman we met, fascinating story.
Yes.
Really interesting to hear about his experiences And their dynamic's so different.
Yes.
Because they'd met through the naughty hobby. So he'd met his wife, ended up getting married and you know, all the good stuff. But they'd still sort of kept their individuality, I suppose, within swinging. So that was fascinating to talk to. And this is the thing that you find out within the naughty hobby. There's so many different people with such a wide range of dynamics and kinks.
And also, like we've always said, you know, your dynamic or your kink, it evolves. So whereas you may start off being a couple that only plays with couples or whatever, you know, you could then go on to play separately, or
you could end up as a couple of Dalmatians or a Bond villain.
Absolutely. I did have a little bit of envy that night, and I don't know whether because I wasn't with you when it was announced, but Fred and Wilma actually run a quiz night on Discord.
Right, okay.
Which is really, really popular. And they actually gave out the prize to the winners, which happened to be a couple that we did speed dating with.
Where was I?
I have no idea where you were. And they won the most amazing, like, crystal pineapple. It was so sparkly, and it was gold and silver, and it was all shiny, and it was, honestly, I was just like, we all went, I want one.
This is making our 10-inch dildo look shit.
Yeah, it is. We've been well and truly duped by Fred and Wilma on the prizes.
We're going to have to up our game.
We are definitely going to have to up our game. But it was beautiful, and I meant to ask them where they got it from, because it was just like every household needs one of those. It was stunning. But we did have a brilliant night. As always, they organised the best event.
Yeah.
So if you do ever get an opportunity to go to one of their socials,
Fred and Wilma on Fab Swingers.
Yes.
If you send them a message, I'm sure they will tell you, because it's a social. It's a more kind of, I don't use the word secretive, but it's a more candid.
Yes.
A more candid event, because it's sort of based in a vanilla setting.
And the other good thing about it is it's open to everybody.
Exactly, yeah.
It doesn't matter what your kink, what your sexuality is, anything, it is open to everybody.
Yeah.
Which is lovely, because where else do you get an opportunity to speak to?
There's, like we've said, there's many couples there that have never been to a club. They've never even had a meet. They're just interested. And here's where I suppose we go back to the start of this topic, where I said, you know, we sat and had a discussion, me and this guy, and I was just like, well, I'm not sure that I would call them superficial. I would more say that it's just a general interest. They might not be ready for that.
No.
And they might not be ready for that for a long time.
It's a good introduction, isn't it? Without any pressure.
And you might want to go to that event for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And not have a meet. It doesn't matter.
I mean, we knew people that were there that had been to every single Lich Vegas that Fred and Wilma had put on.
Exactly. And it's just, I think it's just amazing to be able to go to an event and again see people that just, they leave their judgment at the door.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know? And I remember, you know, we had a really interesting conversation with a guy, and he agreed with me that perhaps superficial was the wrong term.
I think that's definitely the wrong term.
And my words to him were, as a community, we leave our judgment at the door. So perhaps to say superficial is the wrong word. And we had a good giggle about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Chatting. But it was really interesting.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant night.
It was. And the other thing is with the speed dating and everything, the evening starts quite early. So we had to be there for about 6 o'clock, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we hadn't had a chance to eat.
Oh, God.
So
this is yeah.
After all the shenanigans of the evening, we decided, ourselves and Sir John and Lady Law, that we would go and find some food.
It was McDonald's or Chinatown.
Now, I'd already kind of mentioned I'm not a big fan of Chinese food. It's not because I don't like it, it just doesn't like me for some reason. So I did have a really bad experience at a Cantonese restaurant in my youth, and I think it scarred me for life. But everybody else was kind of like quite keen. Well, we didn't have a lot of choice, and none of us really fancied a McDonald's. So we said, Mr. N said to me, "You're all right, Mrs. N. They've got English dishes on there. We'll be fine. So I said, okay, let's do that then. So we went off to Little Chinatown, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was very, very quaint, cute little Chinese restaurant with traditional owners.
I adore Chinese food.
I know you do.
But I can't eat chili.
Yeah.
So I can't eat chili, and to my knowledge, there was always chili in a sweet and sour sauce. So I went in there. I went, could you do me anything without chili? And this Chinese gentleman looked at me, and it was just like, I don't know what Chinese food you've eaten. But there shouldn't be any chili in a sweet and sour sauce.
He had the driest sense of humour. I loved him. I absolutely loved him. So you guys all decided you were going to go for the all-you-can-eat menu.
Well, no, it just seemed... I vaguely remember looking at the price list. It didn't look too bad. I don't remember there being like 6 noughts on the end of it.
They weren't small portions that came out.
No.
It was ridiculous. There was ribs, there was onion rings, there
chicken
was
balls,
satize, chicken balls, crispy duck pancakes, all that. And there's me eating my English chicken and chips.
It was funny.
And the lovely, lovely Chinese gentleman, who I absolutely adored because I did love his sense of humour, they came out and asked, do you want your curry or whatever in a bowl or on a plate?
They were super friendly.
They were. And obviously they put plates down for everybody else apart from me. And the Chinese gentleman turned around and said, don't worry, you're English.
Exactly.
It's just like, thanks.
Exactly.
And then he embarrassed me even more when he brought out said crispy chicken and chips with peas.
That's
and he
the
went,
English.
do you want any sauces? And I couldn't bring myself to say yes. I was well and truly shamed for not eating Chinese food that night.
My sweet and sour that I did believe had some chili in it because I did have a migraine a day later.
I know you did, but you also nearly had an orgasm when you ate it.
Every mouthful was like an orgasm in my mouth. Every single mouthful. It was like, oh my God. And I actually said, if this makes me bad, I don't care. And then the bill came and we all had a little cry.
Yeah. It was like, oh my God.
But that was our weekend.
They were so super friendly and literally anything you wanted, they were there brilliant. For you. They checked on you constantly. I would highly recommend that restaurant. Can't remember the name of it.
Well, as I've shamed the price of it, we probably shouldn't. But I will mention Litchfield because that is just... I mean, that costs such a little money, but provides so many hours of entertainment. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Whole evening of entertainment.
Yeah.
It's all first class. The people there are all so lovely. It was just another amazing night from Fred and Wilma.
It was.
Who are huge, popular guests of ours. We've got to have them on the show again. Yeah,
well, I do believe they are planning to come back on with a couple that we speed dated with.
Yes. Yeah, and who attend another social.
They do. They do the Leeds social, don't they?
Yep, so that should be really interesting. We keep threatening that we're going to break up north and head up north.
We're getting there. Little bit by little bit, but we're getting there.
So a huge thank you to Fred and Wilma. A huge thank you to Zeb and Roxy for just a whole weekend of entertainment.
Yeah.
And providing us with more material to fill your ears with.
But before we go, Mr. N.
Yes.
Just to go back to Vanilla to Vixen.
Yes.
That's going to be on Saturday the 13th of April.
Grand National Day.
Grand National Day.
Save a horse, ride a jockey.
Get your whips out.
That's a good idea for prizes.
Ooh.
We could have like proper,
crops.
Proper leather, because you can get them on the BDSM scene. Proper crops, because you can stroke them up and down the body.
Oh, or you could give it a little.
Oh.
I didn't quite have the effect I was expecting, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get on the guest list for Vanilla to Vixen, how can they get in contact with us?
You can contact us on Fab Swingers. We are the Naughty Couple, which is spelled NAUGHTYCP1. The 1 is instead of an L. Naughty Couple. And you can contact us on that sexy thing called Spicy Match. We are Naughty Couple, spelled exactly the same way. Or you can contact us on Elon Musk's Twitter, or X as he now calls it. We are Naughty Couple, spelt differently. NAUGHTYCOUP1E. Contact us on X or Twitter, whatever he's calling it this week. Or you can email us. We are Naughty Couple, NAUGHTYCP1 @yahoo.com.
Wonderful.
Phew.
Are you worn out now?
Exhausted.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Or if you fancy a more sedated weekend, you could try out at Liberty Elite their unhosted nights. They've got Elite Encounters, and they've also got Temptation Friday and Saturday.
Wonderful.
So again, a full weekend where you can just enjoy the facilities, and it's a more quiet environment, unhosted.
Yeah. So if you are interested in going to one of the events at Liberty Elite this weekend, or you just want to find out a bit more information, you can contact the club.
Yeah, just go onto their website, libertyelite.co.uk.
Or you can give them a call.
Absolutely. And with that being said, I think it's time for us to nip off and have a look at some riding crops.
Oh, okie dokie. I'll get me coconuts.
Save a horse, ride a jockey. See you next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.